It's good. When I look at all of you, revelation increase because everybody gets message for themselves and we all get blessed by that. Last time we talked about so many things, but I would like to revise only one of them, which is we talk about 3 kinds of sin. It's very important. Unfortunately, many people don't understand concept of sin. They don't know what sin is. It's very bad. It's very bad though, but many people don't know what sin is. They always confuse sin with some other things. They set up their own laws, their own regulations, and when they disobey it or they break it, they think they've sinned. But so far we've learned that sin, man cannot determine what sin is. Sin can only be determined by God because he's the only righteous God. He's the one to give law, and he's the only one who can decide who broke the law. We learned before that sin is a transgression of the law, not a law. The Bible says sin is a transgression of the law, not of a law. That means there should be a specific sin, a specific law to be broken. And as you know, in the New Testament, no law is given to us. So since human beings love to suffer, most people went back to the Old Testament. They went for the Moses law so they can have something to obey. But God did it intentionally by not giving us law. There is a reason for that. He did it intentionally for not giving us a law. And God never asked anybody to go back to the law of Moses to obey, because that law came with curses. All right, there was a condition attached to it. It does not only bless. If you obey it, you are blessed. If you disobey it, you just don't sit, say, okay, I disobey it, and that is all. No, if you disobey it, the curse of the law comes upon you. So anybody who trying to obey that 10 commandments today, if you couldn't obey it, Bible says if you break one, you break all. So if you couldn't obey it, the curse of the law comes upon you, and there is no redemption for that curse, because God gave the law to the Jews, and they disobeyed it, and the curse of the law came upon them. Israel was all this while under the curse of the law. That is why they needed a savior to redeem them. So when Jesus came, the Jews received redemption. The Gentiles didn't receive any redemption because the Gentiles were not under the law. The law was not given to the Gentiles. It was given to only the Jews. So the Jews needed redemption. They have to be redeemed. They have to be plucked out from the curse of the law. And the curse and the law was abolished, but they were redeemed. Today, if you go into the law and you disobey it, you break the law, there is no redemption for you. There is no redemption. So you will live under the curse of the law and you will perish as a result. And many Christians are going to experience this, even though God saved them, but they put themselves back under the law, and the effect and the curse of the law will come upon them. That is the reason for many Christians suffering actually. That is the reason. I can guarantee you that is the reason for many Christians suffering, because they went back for the law that was abolished, and the curse of the law is now at work in their lives. You need to understand this very thing. The only power, the only thing left that can be done is when they will accept in their heart that the law is abolished and they will leave it and come for the gospel. Then can they be saved? But there is no way Christ is going to redeem them. They will have to do it by themselves, by leaving the law and coming for the gospel, which has the power to do that. So these things we are talking about, they are a matter of life and death. Many people don't know, so they play with it. Somebody say, what is wrong if you disobey one law? The laws are not 10. The laws are not 10. The laws are more than 10. The laws of Moses, if you put everything together, is getting to 3,000 laws. The oral laws and the written laws together is getting to 3,000 laws. So you can't select which one you think you want to obey and which one you think you don't want to obey. You can't do that. All right. So we pray the Spirit of God will bless us today. Today I'll be just looking, I'll really walk fast through the scriptures. I know the ladies are expectant. Don't worry, the message is coming for you strongly. And I received two very good advice for the ladies. God is not saying they should do it. It's an advice. The choice is yours. Amen. Okay, let's go back to Genesis 3. Last time we couldn't resolve Genesis 3. All this Christianity problem is all coming from Genesis 3. So we have to spend good time there to digest Genesis 3 very well before we move on. If you understand it very well, then you can know what is happening. What is happening. Now, Genesis 3, we talk about the serpent, and that serpent I told you was the devil. All right? The serpent was the devil. Satan entered into the serpent. Because maybe some of you are new, so I have to be explaining these things along. You know, Satan is a spirit. Yes. And when he was cast out from heaven, he remained a spirit. Until today, Satan is still a spirit. Many people feel Satan is their friend or Satan is friendly. Study the scripture. Satan is not friendly. He's never going to be friendly or friend looking. He may default like a strong word. That word is distraction at once. And the Bible says, whosoever break the hedge shall the serpent bite. It's talking about the same Satan. There is a hedge, a protection against every child of God, around every child of God. But interestingly, you can strengthen your protection. You can also weaken your protection. That is up to you, depending on the type of words you speak, depending on the activities you get yourself involved, depending on the thoughts that you harbor in your mind. You strengthen your hedge, or you weaken your hedge. And when you do that, and Satan gets in, Satan does not destroy people gradually. He doesn't do that. He destroys everybody he gets once and for all. There are people who are going to church every day, but already Satan has destroyed them. Their soul is not in good condition. There's something wrong with their soul. So Satan does not make friend with anybody. He's never going to be friend with anybody. You know, when Satan becomes friendly with a person, the plan is he is looking for a mass distraction. You know, Satan's strategy goes in such a way that if you destroy one person and get into trouble, he will rather wait and destroy many at the same time. You see, so you know he destroy one person and they get to know and they cast him out. No, he's not going to do that. He will rather be quiet and target many at the same time. You see, and target many at the same time. So sometimes Satan has time. You met him here, and he's not busy. Nobody gave him any assignments, so he's not busy doing anything. Satan wouldn't mind being on your matter for 10 years. If he thinks he cannot get you, he wouldn't mind waiting for your children. Satan wouldn't mind waiting for your children to destroy them now that he cannot get you. But if he plans, he's on your matter, he wouldn't mind. He can wait for your children. If you raise your children very well and he cannot destroy them, and he is really on your matter, he wouldn't mind waiting for your grandchildren. Satan wouldn't mind, because he will keep following until he will get a massive distraction rather than destroying one and get into trouble. So if you study the New Testament, especially Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and part of Acts, you will clearly come to understand the workings of Satan, how he works. You know, Jesus helped reveal Satan's strategies to us, that, you know, many demons can live in one person at a time. You know, the old church never had this revelation. They never know this until Jesus said so. You know, until Jesus said so. And so many things Jesus revealed to us about the devil and his plans, his master strategies. So until you function by the wisdom of God, there is no way you can be wiser than him. You have to function by the wisdom of God. And then that is the only way you can overcome him. We talk about the authority rank, right? Satan is in higher rank, will be in higher rank than anybody who is not born again. And such a person legally belongs to Satan. And Satan does not entertain his children, he afflicts them. Can you imagine? You know who is responsible for hell? You know which people punish in hell? It's Satan and his demons. They punish in hell. He deceives you on earth and you go to hell. Then the same person who deceives you tends to punish you again. And you know why he punishes you? For hearing the gospel and not taking it seriously. Can you imagine? His punishment is you heard such a nice gospel and you didn't respond. That is Satan's problem with you. Satan is so jealous of man, so much jealous of man. Because man, Adam, was actually created to handle Satan. But since he lost it, Satan now wants to take the opposite. He wants to handle man now. If you go to the hospital and you see people sick, I mean diverse diseases, you understand that if Satan get a man, he will not spare him. People are afflicted. You know, people are afflicted. Diverse kinds of sicknesses. Some don't even have name. They are restless. They even wish to die, and they cannot. Satan is not going to take their soul. He would rather leave them, afflict them, and they will die slowly in pain. He prefers it that way. So he's not friendly at all. So one day, this Satan came into the garden and entered into the serpent. Well, I told you last time, the serpent was one of the cattle, had legs and everything. If you can go, it's okay, let me leave that. And everything was nice. I told you when Adam and Eve was created, they were not deceived on the same day, like many people, you know, believe. They were not deceived on the same day. They were in the garden. Life was very good. Everything was good. God used to visit them from time to time. Then one day, Satan also entered into the garden and spoke to Eve. And Eve agreed. Last service, I explained the concept to you. As funny as it will sound, that was what happened. Adam was there. Adam didn't go to farm. Those of you who were told in Sunday school that Adam went to farm when the serpent came. Which farm? Adam was there. Adam was there. So he spoke, and the woman obeyed first and ate the fruit. Nothing would have happened if the woman were to be the one who ate the fruit and gave to the man with him. The man ate, and both of them went naked. The disaster happened. So God came looking for man, and then he said, where are they? You know, anytime God asks a question, where are you? What is your name? Where are you going? When you hear those questions from God, it means there is a trouble, there is a problem. God doesn't ask because he don't know. He asks because he wants to draw your attention to what is happening. So when God asks a question, it doesn't mean he don't know the answer or he don't know where they were. He knew. He knew where they were. Do you call somebody you can't see? So they came out and they were like, they are not coming out this time. And God was like, why? They said, well, we are naked and we heard your voice walking in the garden and we went to hid ourselves. And God said, who told you? Another question. Another question. Who told you that you are naked? Then he said, did you eat of the tree that I asked you not to? Well, Adam said, yes, I wouldn't have eaten of it, but the woman you brought gave it to me and I ate. Why did God ask, did you eat of the tree? Because it is the tree that you will eat of, then you begin to know what is good and what is evil. Well, directly. Now, if Adam and Eve, remember, previously they were not wearing anything. And the Bible said they were not ashamed of themselves. They never knew they were naked. So now, if Adam is still not wearing anything, yesterday, he didn't say he was naked. If today, Adam is saying he's still not wearing anything, but he's naked today, it means Adam have decided to define what nakedness means to himself. And I think I explained that to you. It's a tree you eat, then you define what is good and what is evil for yourself. So Adam decided decided to define for himself what is good and what is evil. So Adam began to call not wearing anything naked. So God said, well, now that you are naked, you might have eaten. God didn't say anything because now Adam wants to define things for himself. So God has to end the story there. So he went ahead and pronounced curses upon them. And I want us to look at the curses. Before then, you have to understand nakedness is a spiritual thing. If you can see, even mad people don't go naked. Mad people, they don't walk on the street naked. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed that? That no matter how mad and crazy somebody is, they always cover their nakedness. Have you noticed that? Mm-hmm. It's a spiritual thing. Nakedness is a spiritual thing. And those are higher levels. If you want special class for that, you can come and pay. And I'll explain to you what nakedness really means. Okay. Now let's read from the scriptures and let's look at the cases. I can't wait to finish Genesis 3. Then we can move fast. Let's take it from verse 10. Okay, let's take it from verse 6. Let's take it from verse 6. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and the tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruits thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto the husband with her, and he did eat. Verse 7, and the eyes of both were open, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. Verse 8, and they heard the voice of the Lord walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord among the trees of the garden. And the Lord God called unto them and said unto him, where art thou? He said to the man, where are you? And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself. And he said, who told you that you are naked? Have you eaten of the tree whereof I commanded you, thou shalt not eat? And the man said, yes. Is that what the man said? The man said, I'm sorry. No, the man wouldn't say that. The blaming game started. And the man said, the woman whom thou gavest me to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. And the Lord said unto the woman, what is this thou hast done? And the woman said, the serpent deceived me, and I did eat. And the Lord God asked the serpent, what is this you have done? Do you find that in your Bible? No, there is no need to ask the serpent any question because of something I'm going to talk about. No need. And the Lord God said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle and above every tree, every beast of the field, and upon thy belly thou shalt go, and thou shalt eat all the days of thy life. You know, let me say something here. This is where understanding this portion of the scripture becomes difficult, to know whether or not the serpent was really an animal who had legs previously. Because what God is saying here, he was not actually talking to the serpent. He was speaking a prophetic language to the serpent, to the devil who was inside him. So if you take it prophetically, you will wonder, is he really talking to the serpent? Do you notice the prophetic language there? Did you? So the Lord said to the serpent, because of what you have done, God is just telling the devil that, look, it is true that you won by deceiving Adam and Eve. It is true that you won by deceiving them. But you are destined for defeat. That was what he was telling him. That it is true that you've won, deceiving them. But for the rest of your life, everything you will do, Satan, you are destined for defeat. You will be defeated in everything you will do. It seems like you succeeded deceiving them, but it is not going to work. And I told you when this happened, physically they ate the fruit. A lot of things happen spiritually. I explained those things to you last time, right? That he gave his authority to the devil. So now man's authority is now with the devil. So Satan is now going to rule in place of man. And man was left with no authority. Satan will now rule in place of man, and man was left with no authority. So God came and then he spoke those prophetic words to the devil, that because of what you've done, you eat dust for the rest of your life, and you crawl on your belly. That is to the serpent. Which verse are we? Verse 15. And I will put enmity between you and the woman. He's talking about the woman here. And the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his head. So where is the man? The enmity is not going to be between the serpent and the man. No, it's going to be the woman's seed. The woman's seed. So the challenge is going to be between the serpent. Did you notice God didn't say the serpent's seed and the woman's seed? Did you notice that? It's going to be between the serpent, because the serpent is not going to die. He is going to be the old serpent. That's that old serpent. So that same serpent. But for the woman, it's going to be the seed of the woman. He's talking about Christ. He's talking about Christ. He wasn't talking about Cain and Abel. Neither was he talking about Seth. He was talking about Christ. So God gave this promise. And when the seed of the woman will come and bruise the head of the serpent, which was what Christ did on the cross by defeating Satan on the cross. And the serpent is also, the seed is not just going to deceive, it's not going to just have victory over the devil and walk away. The devil is also going to leave a mark on his heel. What is the meaning of that? What is the mark? Still, Satan is also going to deceive many people to hell. That was what God was talking about. Even though Christ will come, die, and save man from the domain of Satan, now Adam has willingly given his authority to the devil, God is prophesying that the seed of the woman is coming and will take the authority back from you, and man will be taken out of your domain, But when that will happen, upon doing all this, Satan will still deceive some of the people to hell. And that is what he's doing now. So by the end of time, we know that even though Christ came and died, he saved everybody. He paid the price. Everybody is literally free, but people will go to hell. So if you go to preach the gospel and you put in every effort and still they are not going to obey, remember, there are people here destined to destruction. Not because nothing has been done about their situation. Everything has been done. But you see, there is a destiny to destruction here. And whosoever will disobey, will not take the gospel seriously, will put himself in that destiny. You get into destruction, even though you were saved. So the seed of the woman is coming, is going to save man from the devil's domain, but the devil is also going to leave a mark on him, which is his work is going to be ineffective in the life of some people who will not receive the gospel. So God gave this prophecy. This is a prophecy that God gave. So now the journey started. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, Pastor.
All right. Now, let me go back to the beginning and narrate the story for you again. You need to get it in proper context. Then we move on. Because the real journey is starting now. One day, the story started by saying there was a chaotic earth and God brought order and everything. He created plants and everything from it. Then he made man. He planted a special garden, placed man there, and he gave man a choice. All right, he gave man a choice. You continue to follow my definition. Can you hear me now?
Yes, Pastor.
Yes.
Whose grandmother is distracting the service?
Whose grandmother?
Is who? Dilma, right?
No, Pastor. Not any one of my daughters.
I thought it's Dilma's grandmother. This type of fish, they usually come from East Africa. All right, let's continue. So God put order, and then he made man plant a garden, put him in the garden, and he gave man a will, a choice, that as far as you don't touch this tree, it means you agree with my definition of what is good and what is evil. But the day you decide to eat of it, you begin to define what is good and what is evil for yourself. And life went on, everything was good until Satan came and deceived them. And Adam and Eve decided to define for themselves what was good and what was evil. So now God came and pronounced curses upon them, and Satan got his share, the woman got his share. Okay, I think the curse is not even complete. We are not done, right? Which verse?
Verse 16.
Verse 16, right?
Yes.
Verse 16. So he first gave the prophetic words to the devil and said, well, devil, it seems like is my screen not rotated? It seems like you've deceived them, you've won, but this is not going to last. You are destined to failure. You will fail in everything you do. People of God, if this alone should give you hope, it is true that we are in battle with this darkness, spiritual, but it's just a dead fight. We are fighting a dead fight. All right? The victory is already given. We know the end of Satan. We know how the story is going to end. The only thing anybody will need is endurance. We need to endure. But we know the end of the story. We know how Satan is going to end. All right? And we know that he is destined for failure. If Satan gets into war with you, you don't need to worry. Keep your faith. Keep your hope. You will surely win. Because you are into war with a creature which is destined to failure. It means everything Satan will do, he will fail. Can I give you an example? Let me walk through the scripture with you. He tried many times to destroy the children of Israel. He couldn't. But I want to even enter into the New Testament. When Jesus was born, Satan got to know, he stirred up this guy, Herod, to destroy all the children. Look at it from the Old Testament. Always Satan tried to destroy God's seed, God's children. He started from Genesis 6. These fallen angels came and they wanted to pollute the human race to prevent man from producing the seed God spoke about in Genesis 3. Because God gave a prophecy that the seed of the woman is coming. So Satan was like, okay, let me pollute the human race to prevent the seed from coming. He couldn't do that. God wiped those generations away with the flood of Noah. He went ahead, curse came into the system. The same thing went on and on and on and on. So Satan has always been in this battle. He stirred up the Jews to kill the Messiah. Jesus is here. Anyhow, Satan managed to know that there is something special about this guy. He looked like he's going to be the Messiah. But God was working a strategy that Satan never knew about. Since he was destined to fail, he got into it. He wanted to play the game. He stirred up Israel to kill the Messiah, not knowing he was actually provoking his end. They killed him, not knowing killing him was rather the best for the church, for the human race. Through his death, man will be saved. He never knew that one. So you see, he got into it. When they were stoning Jesus, Satan was excited. Finally, he died. He was like, wow, we are free now. I'm free. Hell jubilated. All the cohorts of hell, they were happy. They were so excited. Finally, the Messiah is gone. Only to realize one day he showed up in hell. And it was the evil day. It was the evil day for Satan. He never know. He never know. The church was born. The same thing. He stirred up Paul. It wasn't Paul alone. Just that Paul was the chief. He stirred up many people against the church. Oh, because the church beyond Jerusalem. Satan stirred up some people, to start killing them, not knowing he was doing a mess of his life. Now they run away from Jerusalem and spread the gospel all around the world now. So anytime Satan goes into strategy, it always turns against him. I can assure you, it always turns against him. It doesn't matter what strategy Satan is devising in your life. Look, you are into battle with a creature destined to failure. He will fail. He will fail. Some of us, we find ourselves in the hands of some people. They plan our distraction. They thought when we do it like this, that will be their end. That will be their end. Just this morning, I was talking with a friend, and I was telling him my life story, how I have to be taken to the city, and then 1 year time back to the village, another year back to the city, another year back to the village. How I was just having this up and down life, and my whole life was just delaying. God provoked many people again, but by the end of it, things were aligning. You see, I told you guys before, some of you know all these things were happening, so I can wait for you.
Oh yeah.
So I can wait for you, so we can meet. It was just happening. There has to be a delay. You see, there has to be a delay. so I can wait for you, so we can meet. And when all those things were happening, Satan thought, oh, wow, he's just doing something big. So this is where the whole thing is coming from. That is the curse God pronounced upon him, that he's destined for failure. And everything he will do, he will fail. Now let's go to verse 16. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be thy husband, and he shall rule over you. So this is the curse God pronounced upon the woman. Well, let me say a few things about this. So you know, childbirth is not easy. You know, a woman will give birth in pain. And those of you who are medical students, I think you know the number of disorders associated with pregnancy. I think you know. Almost every health condition we have, you will find it, especially in pregnancy. It has a special way of presenting itself in pregnancy. You know, all the common human, you know, talk about high blood pressure, talk about diabetes, talk about, they all have a special way of presenting themselves in pregnancy. Very terrible. And it's a great moment for women because of what Eve has done. And God multiplied the sorrow. God is just telling the woman, you know, you will give birth, but it's going to be in pain. You won't take it easy. God never promised that she will die, but yeah, it's going to be difficult for you. You'll find it hard to give birth. And then he said, his desire shall be to thy husband. This place is mostly interpreted to be that woman will have a sexual desire or a bad sexual desire towards the husband. Remember, this is the husband. And there is no bad sexual desire towards your husband. There is none. There's nothing like that. Actually, Bible says if a woman has sexual desire towards the husband, it's a good thing. That's what the book of Proverbs said. It's a good thing. So it is not talking about sexual desire here. It's talking about a fight for power. A fight for power, fight for leadership. Where the woman is not going, woman will also want to have his way out, his will, his desire. This is what I also want to do. But the man is meant to rule. So you have to listen to your husband. And if you enter into the New Testament, those of you who have been with me for some time, I taught you on submission and what that means to you. And if a woman does not submit herself under her husband, she is exposed and subject to attack. Such women become miserable people. Miserable, very miserable people. So God pronounced that upon the woman. Listen, and listen very well, women. Young women, right? Young women in the making. So this is here. You enter into the New Testament, it wasn't taken out. Paul spoke about submission, where a woman must submit herself to her husband. I always stress on this, that the Bible didn't say women should submit themselves unto husbands, but unto her own husband. There is a reason for that. Her own husband. So when you marry, you are expected to submit yourself under your husband. The reason is, number one, what is submission? It is not a point where you lose your say. No. That is not a point where you don't have a say. That is not submission. Submission is when you willingly subject yourself under the authority of your husband. It's a willing thing. You willingly do it. Subject yourself under the authority of your husband, not of husbands. Interestingly, there are a lot of women who are very, very submissive to husbands, except their own husbands. Go to a wedding or party or funeral, you will see some women, they will serve every man. They will kneel down to serve. They will bring water. They will bring spoon. They will do everything, you know. They will clean the table. They will serve with the best plate. All other husbands, when it is time for their own husband, he look and he say, After cooking, she will leave the food in the kitchen and say, well, I'm done. Go and fetch your own. But let a man from somewhere enter the house right now. You will see the way she will just be falling down, hitting the head against everything to serve that man. But her own husband, no. The scripture said, submit yourself under your own husband. You are free not to submit yourself under any other man, except your husband. And the purpose is it protects you. It is for your protection. It is for your protection. There is a blessing in submission. But you see, there is a word here. The woman's desire shall be to his husband. So even though the woman is supposed to willingly submit or subject her authority, her power, her say, and her will under his husband, she will still have, after subjecting it or submitting it, she will still have the desire to have her way out. That is going to happen. That is what God is saying. That means submission is even going to be difficult as well. Are you following?
Yes, Pastor.
So she will do it. Many women will do it, which always happens. We see it happen. She will do it. But after doing it, she will have the desire to have her way out again. She will have that desire. So the woman is going to face that problem. But God pronounced that, the man will rule over you. This is the point. Since you know this, especially those of you who are not yet married, even if you're in a relationship, it's still for you. Since you know this, you know that when you marry, you are going to subject your say. Even if you have a different say, you have to go according to the one your husband is saying. Your husband must agree before you act. You don't do things by your own will. Since you are going to do this, women must take their time selecting partners. Because whether the man brings evil plan, evil thoughts, or whatever, except it is against your salvation, you must submit yourself to it. Except it is against your salvation. Apart from that, anything your man will say, your husband will say, you have to subject yourself to it. It doesn't mean you don't say anything. You will say whatever you want to say, but he has the final say. When he said no and you act yes, you are a rebel. And that is what God was talking about. So it's not going to be a good system. It's the same system we have in our political systems, where we all go to vote. What is voting? Giving your authority to your president and say, from today onwards, I don't have a say. Whatever you, president, you say is what I agree to. That is the meaning of vote. It's the same demonic principle Satan brought as democracy. Democracy is not a good thing. So now countries are being oppressed by their presidents and by their leadership. But you see, you can't say anything. You gave your authority to the man to act on your behalf. So whatever he says is you saying it.
Where is he from?
So one.
Ghana, I think.
Yeah, I can hear the accent. Oh, shh, shh, shh. Oh my God.
That means you are not listening. You are discussing Ghana, right? Okay. So, you can't give your authority to the president to act for you and then rebel against it. No. So if you go to vote, whoever you stamp that you vote for, you are giving your authority and your power to that person to act on your behalf. So one day if you get to heaven and God charge you with murder, don't say, Lord, no, I wasn't there. Well, you gave it to your president that if you do this, I do it. Act on my behalf. So you get to heaven and they say, step forward. These are the things you did. You misled the country. I said, no, I wasn't even in leadership. I said, well, I'm not saying you shouldn't vote. You should vote. You must vote. Because if you don't go and select the one you want to give your authority to, other people will give it to somebody else who will rule over you. So you need to go and select the one you want to do. But it's the same principle. I'm just trying to tell you, it's the same principle. All right? And then, in our political system, you give the power to the person and he used the power against you, your own power. That is what the leadership do. You give them your authority to act on your behalf and they act against you. And you don't have a say because you don't have a power now. You gave it to him. Now the Bible talks about the Antichrist coming. The whole world will give their power to him. So they don't have a say. That's why his destruction will be massive. So if a woman, you marry a man, you don't need to vote him. The moment you get married to him, automatically you have subjected your say, your will, your power, your authority to him. He will not necessarily rule over you, but he will rule over you. That means he will have the final say. And you can look around. Women who don't submit themselves under their husband, things are not easy for them. They may look nice on the outside, but things are not easy for them. Most of those women are the ones you see moving around. Today they are going to a prophet, next day to a malam, another day they are going to a fetish priest, they are going to the mountain, they will go to the riverside. They are looking for deliverance. All the time they are looking for deliverance. Do you know the deliverance? Just go back, submit yourself under your husband. Everything disturbing you will stop. Everything will stop. Because that's where the problem is coming from. You are naked. You are exposed to attack. So they have these bad dreams. Some of them, they are frustrated in their mind. Pastor Chris called it anyhow. The person becomes anyhow woman. When he dressed, it doesn't look good to the husband anymore. Because the husband is looking at a rebel, a fight partner.
Terrorist.
So, when you dress, they don't see it. No matter what you do, it doesn't please him. Problem has started. So the first word I receive for you women is plan. Plan as much as you can. Plan, make up your mind. You have to make up your mind to be submissive. Make up your mind. You see, submission is not a difficult thing. I can guarantee you it is not. It is not a difficult thing. But you see, you're also going to have your way out. You have a feel of having your way out. After giving your authority to the man, you want to act the opposite. But until, when a woman submits herself under her husband, she's protected, she's covered. Anything will rather happen to the husband rather than happening to the woman. She's covered. And the Bible said there is a blessing from the Lord for such a woman. There is a blessing for such a woman. Advice number 2. There is something about being a stepmother. Almost all stepmothers are wicked. I use almost because we have few exceptions there. Almost every stepmother is wicked. Over the years, I tend to believe there should be a demon responsible for being a stepmother. That the moment you become a stepmother, whether that demon enter you or afflict you, I don't know how it happens. Even good people, the moment they become stepmothers, they tend to become evil. So advice number 2 is women, if you can. These are the laws. Paul will say, I am the one saying it is not from the Lord, but it will help you. So I am saying, if you can, women, if you can, if you know yourself that you don't have that heart to love a stepson or a step-daughter, don't go for stepchildren. Don't do it. Because if you afflict a stepson or a stepdaughter, you will be severely punished. It won't go well with you. And if you are not careful, all your children will be destroyed as a result. I know what I'm talking about. I've seen this in the life of many women. Their children are frustrated as a result of their mother's act. I think we talked about this last week, right? Imputed sin, yes, why the children suffer for the wrongdoing of their parents. Go and check the house where the man or the woman afflict the housemaid. Go and check the life of their children. They may look physically well, but friends, all is not well. All is not well. Sometimes they go to school, they just end up somewhere. Then daddy is rich. Daddy wants to cover up. So they make him bank manager. So the guy is a bank manager. But you see, in his spirit, he's not fulfilled. He's distracted. He's not fulfilled in his spirit. Because something is working against. But if you see women who are good to stepchildren, women who are good to their housemates, they receive blessing from the Lord. Because, God is the one responsible for those people. God is the father of those people. So if you want to help God take care of his child or his daughter, he shower his blessing upon you so you can do it. But if you stand against, God stands against you. You begin to receive resistance from the Lord. I'll give that to you as an assignment. Take a carefully look at women who afflict their housemaid, their stepchildren. Take a careful look at their lives. Sometimes it shows even on their physical bodies. They are sick. They are sick. They will sit under the tree and they will keep sending this child up and down the whole day. The whole day. And everything annoys them. You see the frustration in their spirit. Everything annoys them. I had a house, hot afternoon, we should sweep the house. And when one leaf falls, she will call you to come and pick it up. Is it because she's too hygienic? No. She just hates to see you seated doing nothing. Just hate to see you be free or taking your rest. So when God was, giving the law, since he's going to help the maids, he put it in the law that on the Sabbath day, the maids shouldn't do anything. They should also rest. Oh, blessed be God, who will help all his children. Hallelujah.
Glory.
So those were the curses God pronounced. What is the time? Okay. Upon the serpent and the woman. So this is going to happen to the woman. And I'm not talking about the future, whether the curse is reversed or it's not reversed. so far what we are learning, this is what is happening. All right? This is what is happening to the woman, to the serpent, to the devil. And now let's look at what God said to the man. Verse 17. And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree, of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for thy sake. In sorrow thou shalt eat of it all the days of thy life. Thorns also and thistle shall it bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field. Some of you were asking this question, so what were they eating before? Now that they are going to eat the herb of the field. Oh dear. Someone said, oh, first they were eating meat, because he said, Genesis 1:20, he said, I've given you for meat. For meat, there he's referring to for food, not necessarily meat, animal meat. He's saying for food. Because he talked about the plants and the animals, all given to them for food. So when he said meat, he's not talking about meat as in animal meat. It just simply means food. Okay, so now, do you notice God didn't curse Adam? He cursed the ground for Adam's sake. He cursed the ground. The ground is cursed, the result will have impact on Adam. All right? Adam is just going to have impact from the curse of the ground, but not a direct curse to Adam. Did you get a difference? So the curse is the ground is cursed, it's not going to produce anything for them. And Adam is now supposed to till the ground, because at first God planted a garden for him and kept him there. And he decided to define for himself what is good and what is evil. So you can't continue to enjoy God's blessing when you define what is good and what is evil. You know, you can't. And it's the same thing today. There are many people who practice self-righteousness, but they want God's blessing. How is it going to happen? You can't define what is righteous for you and expect God to bless you. If you define good and evil for yourself, you bless yourself. If you follow God's definition of what is good and what is evil, then he bless you. It's a simple principle. So now the ground is cursed. Well, let me say something here. When God pronounced this curse, you know, everything God said just started happening. It just happened when he pronounced it. So immediately the ground received effect. And so many things changed immediately. So many things changed. Even there was changes in the body of Adam, because the body of Adam was from the ground as well. So now the body of man became a place that can now host all manner of sicknesses. Previously, it wasn't so. It was meant to be a glorious body. But now, the effect will now come upon even the body of Adam coming from the ground. Because, you see, the body came from the ground. So the body must continue to feed on the things coming from the ground, which are fallen products. You see. Now, germs, which were created to be a glorious creation, has now become a bad thing. You know, mosquito will now feed on human blood, which was not the original plan. Mosquitoes were meant to feed on nectar, you know, just like butterfly and all those things. All insects were supposed to feed on nectar. Now mosquito take a reverse, a turn around. Now mosquito will now be in the room where man lives. We have lice. Lice jump into human hair. I said, well, means the human skin on the sky is what I will feed on. We have all manner of insects in the room, in rooms now, you know, I don't even know the English name of most of them. They're all over. They're all over. Now the animals that Adam used to play with, they all started chasing him now. Can you imagine? Adam will now see lion now going close to him, or boy is coming now with all the teeth open. So this time, I promise I'll give you a book to read, but unless we get to somewhere Exodus before I'll give it to you. Before I'll give it to you to read. If you miss service once, I won't give it to you. And if I give it to you, I'm not allowed to give it to any other person. If you read from those sources, those books, really explain what happened in Genesis. Sorry, in Genesis. The earth at that time was not producing anything at all. If you plant 1 acre of 1 acre land of maize, you will just feed the family with it 3 days and it's finished. You won't get anything from it. It was that bad. So bad. The earth we have today is not the one God cursed. It's not. Last time I gave you a clue that if you read Genesis 9, you will find the curse reversed there. God reversed the curse concerning the ground. He reversed it. Most of you, the way you are looking at me, it means you didn't see it or you didn't read. You're looking at me like Angel Gabby. You didn't read or you didn't see it. Some of you listen to the audio. So when he said it, you didn't hear. Read the thing. Now, your English is not even good to go and listen to audio. And this guy closed his teeth, talking